Welcome back to Inside the Story. This evening we're turning our attention to the job market, of which I and the rest of the crew here are members of, but some of you back home are not. That's because so many university graduates and from other institutions as well complain that they leave school and are unable to find work. But what are the new options available to school leavers and university graduates? Let's talk about this now with Gillian Rowlands. She's the Managing Director of Hamilton Knight and Associates, which offers career and human resource services. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening and thank you.
Anytime. In a recessionary environment where things are tight, people are losing jobs instead of gaining them. Help us to understand how someone who has been displaced or is looking for work should proceed. What's the first step in spite of all the challenges?
Well, the first thing I think is that we have to change our attitudes about the job. The job may very well become an artifact of the past. We have to now think about entrepreneurship, and we have to think of ourselves as self-contained entities, and we can find and develop and create our own occupation. I think there's a statistic that says that in North America, some 60% of the population is moving towards home-based jobs.
Yes.
And technology is facilitating that.
Mm-hmm. Give us an idea as to home-based jobs. I know you're going to go down the wrong,
yes.
but help me with the home-based jobs
Well,
first.
one of the things that's happening is because people have access to online communities and social networking, it's very easy to start something of your own and be able to market it to a wide cross-section of people, both locally and globally. People, however, need to know how to do that. And one of the things that we are going to be focusing on in our upcoming Careers and Lifestyles Expo Symposium is how to start a business online, how to get into that social networking community and begin perhaps to put your ideas, your business prospects, whatever it is that you have, your skills online, because that's becoming a way to get around the bricks and mortar and startups that are far more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at a cheaper capital outlay and at the same time being able to stay home, and perhaps you have the kids to take care of as well, house to run. So
yes.
that would mitigate some of the costs involved in going out to work and having to pay someone to take care of the house and children.
Certainly, but that's just one of a number of options, because as jobs are disappearing, we see jobs being created in the health sector, jobs being created in the tourism sector, jobs being created overseas, because as our population is young and vibrant and displaced,
yes.
Up north, the population is graying, that's the term, and they're looking for bright young people, educated people, to fill positions. And there has been for a long time an immigration policy for countries like Canada and the US that have attracted some of our bright minds. Quite a number of people are disturbed about that, but I think that there is room for movement. And certainly countries like India, countries like the Philippines have been exporting skills for a long time and benefiting from it. So I'm not saying that everyone must get up and go, but we must prepare ourselves for a global economy.
Yes, and you've created this space for a symposium, the Career and Lifestyle Job Fair.
Yes.
Been going on for several years now. What does it seek to do in terms of assisting those persons who are out of work, and even for those persons who are in work who want to upgrade themselves?
Well, I must say it's in its 9th year, and we have sustained it through sponsorship and people becoming involved, because we have to get into the business of putting Jamaica to work. And I have been able to get many corporate people on board who understand this. So what we have done over the past 9 years is to get different people to come together, to share information about jobs, about business options, about how people can get into self-start options, how they can train in vocational areas that will allow them to be more self-empowered, and give them the opportunity to start something for themselves, and how they can retrain for non-traditional jobs. Mm-hmm. And so it's really an opening up of information, a networking, a sharing, and it's creating what I call synergies for success. Mm-hmm. Jamaican people are extremely talented. Part of my program also is that I have a career Hall of Fame. And in that Hall of Fame, I'm showcasing Jamaicans who are doing things at international level. This year we'll be honouring, for example, a world-class concert pianist, Roden. I'll be also honouring Paula Tennant, one of the scientists that has been one of the first in the Caribbean to create a transgenic product. And she's recognized internationally. She studied at Cornell University. I'm also recognizing Miss Brissett Bolt, who is in the Ministry of Education and who has done wonderful things for education. I am saying that we're not only a country with great sportsmen and entertainers, we're a country of intellect, we're a country of innovation. And I do not think that we have capitalized on that. I do not think that our leadership fully understands it. I'm not only talking about political leadership. I'm talking about corporate leadership, academic leadership.
Absolutely, and that's where I wanted to go, because I really want to ask the question whether or not there is a sufficiency of support, corporate support now, for persons, for mentoring of persons who even want to start a home-based business or a little bit more graduated than that.
Well, the corporate world has been doing some mentorship, and I know of several programs run by the university. We ourselves have been involved in mentorship, but it has to go beyond that. Our financial institutions have to understand that they have to become involved now in some sort of venture capital that's going to help our youth to capitalize on their intellectual abilities. And we can't just sit down and watch this great displacement. I think that there was an article in the Gleaner that said that some 22,000 Jamaicans have recently been displaced, and we have something like nearly 500,000 Jamaicans below the poverty line. I dare say there are more. We ought to all be alarmed about this, but not just alarmed. We ought to have some sort of passion to get up and do something and put the country to work, because without people having money, the banks are not going to do that well. The businesses are not going to do that well. Or we're going to shrink the economy down to a core of people that will just pat each other on the shoulder and say, well, I'm doing well, Jack, but the vast majority aren't.
So for us to step out of that mold, and perhaps not using the US example for this question I'm about to ask you, can you identify a third world model, similar kind of dynamics where the economy is concerned, where startups from a home-based concept is concerned that have been tremendously successful and that have really set the pace for economic increase within that jurisdiction?
Well, we know of countries that have turned their fate around. We're always speaking about Ireland and Singapore. But nearer home, let's look at Barbados. A friend of mine reminded me that Barbados is the second most literate country in the world, well on its way to first world status. It's already there. Now, it's happening within the Caribbean. So we have to ask ourselves, why haven't we got a vision for prosperity? What would Jamaica look like as a prosperous country with our young people leaving schools, getting into jobs, starting businesses, and an economy where Jamaicans raise their whole standard of living? It's taken far too long, and I'm one of the people that feels very passionate about it, and I feel we can do something about it. And I believe we're going to, because collectively we can make a difference. Not just Jamaicans here, but Jamaicans abroad as well. And everybody wants to see Jamaica lifted up.
But do you think we have trained our young people to be too much members of an organizational chart instead of creating their own organizational chart, putting themselves at the helm?
Our school system has lagged behind. Our school system belongs to another era where we train people to be employees, and we train them for the civil service and so on. We are in a new global economy where entrepreneurship, innovative thinking, creativity, challenging the status quo is part of it. And we have to infuse our educational systems with all those sorts of things. And young people are doing a lot of very bright things, you know. It's happening online and it's happening in pockets. Yes. But they are still having a difficult time bringing those ideas to market, because we do not have a financial sector that really is on board as far as entrepreneurship is concerned.
In 10 seconds, besides home-based jobs as emerging alternatives, or as an emerging alternative, any other options?
Tourism is big, but we cannot only rest on the kind of tourism that's all-inclusive. That is part of it, and it's very good, and we've recently had a lot of beautiful hotels built. We have to get to the community level, and my friend Dinah McIntyre-Pike, who is a part of my program, is going to be talking about that, where we engage the people in tourism. We bring tourism to the people in their natural setting. And so there are lots of things that are happening. Tourism is big business. Entertainment is big business. The healthcare services are big business. Technology is big business.
Thank you, Gillian Rowlands. We have to leave it there. The Career and Lifestyle Symposium next week, Thursday, at the Jamaica Conference Center, downtown Kingston. Do go see in order to be able to know what's out there for you, if you're not employed or if you want to increase your chances of better employment. When we come back, we're settling the score.
Free of cost.